Today is the day that I show up with no makeup and my PJs on.
Well, welcome.
I told y'all it would happen. I'm going to close this real quick because I just noticed that it's really bright. So let me do that.
The backlight. Hi, Dory.
Well,
Hello.
I saw the thing about the graduation from welding school.
I'm so proud of her. Oh my gosh.
So exciting.
It really is just absolutely amazing. Um she grinned from ear to ear the entire time and had this light.
is this your daughter?
She's my bonus kid.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Okay, there we go. Now you can see me in all of my glory. Thank you for being patient. We are in California for a wedding and we're in this tiny cabin, it's called. It's like a tiny house, but there's two king size beds in here. So my daughters may, you won't see them, they may get up and walk around. But anyway, thank you for being
Good.
patient. But yeah, we are here for a wedding, which is super exciting and just really been a blessing to have all this time with my adult daughters. You don't always get that. So really
Yeah, that's
excited
precious
about that.
time. Precious time.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so we'll go ahead and get started. Dorinda is not going to be with us this morning, but she will watch the replay, and she's been through it once before. Her dog had an ear infection, and so she had to take care of that. But Dory, you are like killing it on your homework, sister. I'm like,
I'm
it's
loving
so
it.
good. You did all of it. I'll tell you a lot of times what happens in the class, and I know Lisa's got a little bit different perspective because she's joining too to think about her program that's launching and how to fit all of this in. But sometimes speakers struggle in week two to do all of the things because it's a
It was a
lot.
lot. Mhm.
Yeah. And week three can be a little bit of a catch up, or the other thing is a lot of times I'll tell speakers, to create another, like, we're going to do bio. You do have some homework. You can refine your past content. So now this week you get an opportunity to like take that proposal and maybe make some of those edits or think about how you want to break it up. But you did all the things. So good. How did it
Fun.
feel? Talk to me about how that felt to create that content.
It was a lot of fun. It really was. I was in my head imagining like what this would be like, being able to do this. And Lisa knows I'm working with a gentleman named Des who's working on my speech itself. And it kind of prompted me, Lisa, to go back to Des. We're meeting next week and go, we may need to add a few more things about actual, because it's more of the speech we've been writing is more of like a getting people to open up and realize that they don't have to be everything everybody expected them to be and that kind of thing. But I think I need to add a few more like steps of things that help them to be able to make some changes, like the 3 points or whatever, and make that a little bit more in there. I think that so it kind of made me realize going backward into the speech and go, I need to make a few tweaks here on what I'm saying. But yeah, it was fun. I loved it. I
Oh,
absolutely
good.
loved it.
I'm so glad. And the other thing that's really interesting, so you said something I want to come back to, what they expect to be in the speech. So thinking about the participants and the event organizers, they don't have as high of expectations as we do. In fact, they don't want as much as we feel like we have to deliver. It's
Yeah.
too much. It's not consumable. We, as the experts in our own transformation and the things that we have learned,
Mhm.
feel like, oh, everybody knows that. Or, oh, that's other people are already talking about that. I need to add more. I need to give. So, one of the biggest mistakes I made early on in my content is I kept shoving more and more in there because I'm like, well, it's got to be more valuable than this.
Mhm.
There's so much value in bringing them along that it's in our own heads that they expect more.
Mhm.
Yeah, I believe that. I find that sometimes too because I do a lot in the mindset space, and so I think everybody knows what I know, and that everybody knows about the subconscious mind and all of that stuff. And so when I say something to someone, they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, you didn't know that?" I don't say that out loud, but in my head, I'm going, "You didn't know that?" I thought everybody knew that because all of my friends in my circle, know what I know because we talk about it all the time. So
Exactly.
that's, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so good reminder. In fact, it is it goes the other way. It doesn't make the presentation better because now I can't consume it. I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I can't do it. And so that honing down is so important. And those bullets will do that for you. Because when you really start thinking about what are my key takeaways, you want to put more and more and more. You want to make it longer in a compound takeaway because you want it to be more value. Those are two talks. It might be three talks. So we begin to break that out.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
too, other thing I think about that because I see this on websites too, right? Like people want to put everything they know and everything they do on the website. And the whole goal is to get them to have the first piece of information that gets them to want to know more, that gets them to
Yes,
want to work with you, that gets them to want to hire you or to read your book or whatever. So you really want to give them the appetizer to where they're hungry to consume the meal. And so maybe, okay, now I've heard her do this. I'm going to sign up for a workshop, right?
that's right.
And I think a lot of times, and I see this with experts, is we are trying to read the label from inside the bottle and we forget what it is like to not know everything we know.
Oh, that's so good. I love that analogy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's like we forget what it was like to not know all this stuff, and they only need that one piece.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
when you give them too much, they're like, I can never do that. Right? It's so far from where they are. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Thank
love
you.
that.
I needed that too because yeah, I was like starting in my head, starting to spiral a little bit, going, "Oh, I got to go back to Des now, and we're gonna have like three actionable steps they can take, and all of this because it's and it's really one, and my because my purpose of the one that I'm working on right now is an awareness
Mhm.
of I it's sort of that shock value of wait a minute, I can think on my own. That type of thing is what I'm really trying to get at. So thank you.
Yeah, I think we just get so excited because we love what we're doing. We want other people to love it as much. But you have to think you're almost speaking a foreign language to them.
Yeah,
So give them lesson one to where they're intrigued enough to want lesson two,
Yeah,
whatever it is, whatever that is.
exactly. And you offer them some kind of a transformation each step along the way. And it's the same thing you're going to do with your keynotes and your workshops. You're going to offer a transformation. And to do that, they have to have soak time. They have to think about
Mhm.
how are they going to use it. So yeah, all of these things apply to speaking as well. So just kind of quick recap of what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about planning for your speaker reel. So, why do you need one? How do you do that? What are some cost effective ways to do that? Because it can be really expensive and feel kind of overwhelming. Your homework will be to create a plan for how you're going to create your speaker reel, not to create it. I have had people create them, which I'm like, wow, like bonus points for you, but don't feel like, how am I going to get a speaker reel by the end of the week? Just creating a plan for it, creating your bios. I'm going to give you a couple of bio options, and I'll tell you the one that I get asked for the most, and then your speaker intro. And so we'll talk a little bit about some tips around that. If you get done and you're like, okay, I'm all caught up, I would encourage you to go back and refine that one sheet, your proposal, your key takeaway document, your assessment, and then think about, is there other content that I could add to the package, or do I want to start working on another talk? Maybe there's that second talk that I want to begin to build out. So that's what the homework is going to look like for this week. Um, so before we dive into that, I am going to start sharing my screen and talk you through what dropped for the content last night. So I always just like to
Martha,
show
while
them.
you're doing that, I'll tell you what I did. So I was going to start working on my, week one. What happened is, remember last week when I came in, I'd just gotten in on a late flight. I was with my mastermind. And so I've been so intent on what is my book title going to be that last week I
Yeah.
went in this long rabbit hole. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this
Mhm.
talk with this. And then I met with my book coach and was like, let's go a different direction. So I backed up. I am giving a keynote in September in Houston. So I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and build it into this. So that's what I'm going to work on this afternoon is doing that. So I'll be catching up.
Oh, sweet. I love that. And this is for me always the no pre this is there's a lot of work, there's a lot of homework, and it is at your own pace. This is life happens, priorities shift. I love that you're here because sometimes what people need first is the thinking behind it. And so maybe as you're creating your talk, you will adjust as you're practicing or creating. And the videos are there, the templates are there. You can always come back later. So do what works for you at this moment, Lisa, and I'm just glad you're here.
I am too. I love this. I was telling somebody, I had a client this morning I was telling about, like, I want you to go to this program. So
Good, thank you. So I am going to start with the bonuses this time. The first thing that I have for you is this model release example. Now, I had my one of my speaker reels created professionally, and this is the model release that he used. You can see you've got the branding down here. You could retype it, you could do something similar, you could find something else. The thing that I is most important is if you've got people speaking in your speaker reel. So I do have a couple of testimonials. They need to sign something like this so that you're not out there going, well, like getting sued because somebody, you use their voice, their testimonial without permission. I can't imagine, but people are weird and the world is so litigious, it could happen. Um, and, caveat, I'm not a lawyer, but this is what I use. And so I would say download it from the internet. You can use this as a template, reword it for your purposes, but think about that. It's not if you see their face in the video, but really if they're speaking or there's they're playing a key role. You want to think about having that release. The other thing that I have for you is the speaker resources. And I'll just talk to you about this a little bit. These are a couple of people, and we're going to talk about how to create the speaker reel. So Jenny Lundquist she's a young videographer, and she also creates sizzle reels. I don't. I have never used Jenny personally, but people in Get Paid from the Stage have used her and been really happy with her work. And so she can take your videos and turn them into a reel for you. Like Sabrina Schottenhamel has used her. You could talk to her. Beatrice Newberry. So Beatrice Newberry is, and I don't know if this is exactly the work that you do, Lisa, but I feel like it might be a little bit different. So her specialty is coaching speakers on delivery. So she will actually listen to delivery, give pointers, help create a memorable talk. Jen Smollett has used her. She lives in the UK. These are things I don't do. And then this is one of my past students. She actually created an amazing speaking reel on Canva. Like she imported all the content. She created the reel with the fly-ins and everything, and she did a tutorial for us that you can get to on this at this link. So if you're like, I kind of want to DIY it, you can create your own speaker reel, and she does a great job walking you through how she created her own. So these are all things I don't do, and just some good resources for you here. So I'll ask Lisa. I feel like what Beatrice does is a little bit different than what you do. Do I have that right?
So the one about delivery, speech
Yeah.
delivery, yeah, that's what Dory is working with my speech coach, and he will do that with her.
Okay, okay, got it. Well, that's good for me to know for your program. I
Yes.
feel like other folks that aren't going through your
Yeah,
program,
absolutely.
good resource for them. So the things that you have a guide on creating your speaking reel, and I'm actually going to kind of talk you through the things that are in that guide because I do want you to come up with a plan for that this week. And then the templates are a little bit different. They're more examples of my own different bios, and we will go through that content together. So let me do the stop sharing. And I'll just ask Dory, do you currently have a speaker reel?
I don't.
Okay. Um, and Lisa, do you have a speaker reel?
I don't, but I have found two people as part of this big program that are local in Atlanta that can do some video. But no, I don't have one.
Okay. So good for me to just kind of know. Here's what I'll share has been my experience. You don't have to have a speaker reel to book paid speaking gigs.
Mhm,
And it's very helpful to have a speaker reel as
mhm.
you're booking paid speaking gigs. My very first, I'll say, big opportunity when I became a professional speaker was for an event. It was happening in New York, and it was for the Association of Travel Executives. And I don't even remember how I got connected. I must have submitted a calls for speakers because I did not know this person. And we got on a call. She was very excited about me. Uh, she asked what my fee was, and I said $5,000 with travel. And she was like, great. And I thought, damn it, I should have asked for more, right? Like you just don't know. And of course, now I know I should have been like 20, 25 grand for that event.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, she loved the content. She loved everything about me. She was really excited about me, and I did not get the gig. And so I reached out to her and said, hey, do you mind jumping on a call? I would really like to understand, what the other speaker had that I didn't bring, so that I can, make sure I'm hitting the mark. So she did. She was lovely. And she goes, Carla, we really wanted you. I really wanted you. The thing that held you back was that you didn't have a speaker reel. And I said, you know what? That is great feedback. I really, really appreciate you getting on the call with me. And I'm going to start working on that this week. And I got off and I Googled what is a speaker reel because I literally had no idea. I was like, I don't know what this thing is, but I need one. So, I know you all know what a speaker reel is. We're going to talk a little bit about what should be in it. So I now have several speaker reels. They're on my site. The one I did professionally is a bit long. It's 4 minutes. That's long for a speaker reel. It's more of a story speaker reel. So if you decide to watch it, it's 4 minutes long. There's an interview with me and the guy that did the reel. There is footage of me speaking, which should always be in your speaker reel. And there's testimonials wrapped up on the end of it. Most speaker reels and my other reels are like 2 minutes long. They're more like a sizzle reel. The the most important things for a speaker reel is they want to see you in action. Your event organizer wants to know that you can handle their audience. They want to see your stage presence. They want what they're really looking for is reassurance that they're going to look good when they put you on that stage because they're like on the hook for you to be a really dynamic speaker and to engage their audience and to deliver what you promise. that I can't imagine the stress of an event organizer bringing in someone to stand on that stage for the first time. So they want what they're really looking for is confidence that you're going to make them look good at the end of the day. And so footage of you is important. I like to see footage of the audience when you can. Um, and so just knowing that that's what they're looking for. Um, Anne will come on last week and she'll even say, if all you have is a Zoom like event, I'd rather have that than nothing. Like I just want to see you, hear you, and get a feel for who you are and how you deliver. And I think the thing that holds people back is the cost because it can be very, very expensive. I got super fortunate on my first speaking reel. This guy is amazing. For somebody recommended him. He does these amazing story videos. He is local to Phoenix. I had called all these places, got these huge estimates. And when I called him, I'm like, God, everybody's got these huge estimates. Here's what I do. The guy was like, okay, $1,500, I'll do it for you. And I was amazed. And so he came with this like cart of equipment. I had a separate mic for the sound, all this stuff. I loved it when it got done. And when we had our like recap where he tweaked a few things, I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I'm gonna tell all my speaker friends about you." And he's like, "Please don't tell them how much I charged you." And I said, "Oh, I won't, but why?" And he goes, "Because he goes, can I just be really honest?" And I said, yeah. And he goes, I felt so sorry for you. He goes, like, I usually charge like $15,000 for that. And I went, what?
Oh,
Yeah. Like he was so nice to me. I was his pity project. So I got really, really lucky on that. So if you want to go watch do what, Lisa?
for pro bono work.
I know. I was like, but I've done that for people where like I'll be like, I just love your mission. I want to be there. I had the time. So, cool, I'll do this. But those are expensive. And there are so many other ways to get a great reel without spending that kind of money. What I would encourage you to do as part of your homework is go out and watch 5, 10, 15 speaker reels. Jot down what you love about those reels, what resonated with you. Um, did you like it when they showed a tiny bit of the intro plus the walk-on music? Did they have audience shot? Maybe you don't like the audience shots. I'll tell you the thing that I find really, really distracting is when there is too much background music. So it's like, the speaker's talking and there's background music. It's supposed to make it like exciting, entertaining, a personal preference. That is distracting for me. It gives me a headache. I don't like it. And so, like watch some people like a Mel Robbins or a Tony Robbins or, some high profile speakers, and then watch some speakers in your industry. Watch some emerging speaker videos. What do you love? And decide what you want ideally to be included in your speaker reel because it should have you in it, right? Your essence, kind of what you're all about. I've also seen speaker reels that are a little more quiet and a little more, um, I mean, Sabrina Schottenham comes to mind. She's an introvert. She talks about introvert networking and being an introverted presenter and things like that. So she's not going to have all the lights and flash, right? Because her style's a little different. So just spend some time researching, watching, and enjoying that process of deciding what you want in your speaker reel. And then you've also got the guide that's in this week's content that's going to give you some options and some other things to think about. And so do that as a bit of pre-work. The other thing is think about the creative ways that you could consider bringing in help or doing it yourself. So, a couple of examples. Colleges, a lot of times, will have media programs, and they have the equipment, they have projects that they have to create for their class. And so reaching out to a college that has that kind of media department to say, over the next 6 months, do you have students that are going to be looking for a media project? And you'll pay them, but it'll be way, way less, right? They're getting college credit for this as a way to get that speaking reel. You can hire a professional, right? I would ask for local recommendations. The thing to be careful about is I would want to see their work. Do they have examples of speaker reels they've created? They're very different from other content they may have created. Um, Gather footage. Anytime you speak at an event, I would ask if they're going to have a videographer present. And if so, ask for that raw footage, not their edited version, but the raw version. Because then you can ask someone like a Jenny Lundquist or a student who needs some media projects. Or you can do it yourself in Canva and cut up clips of the speaking portions, or the calling you on stage, etc., to create a speaker reel. A lot of speaker reels, and I'll say my professional one does have this, where I also include pictures that kind of fly in from past events, right? So anytime you see someone snapping your picture at an event, or they're taking videos, ask for that raw footage, because then you can do that, splice it together to create your speaker reel. I've got a couple other ways you can get a reel, but I just kind of want to pause there and get any thoughts you have around what we've covered so far.
I do, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
Lisa.
Yeah.
While it's on my brain, or I'll forget it. Um, I I don't have a lot of speaking engagements that I've done, and none of them
Yep.
have been recorded. So I guess my question is I do have one planned in September at a Rotary Club. Um, but not having anything really on the books yet. Um, it could I like get my friends and family together and create an audience and do like put something together where I can create a reel off of doing something like that instead and make it into something
100%.
that I don't have it. Okay.
100%. You can also ask your significant other, your bestie, to go to that Rotary Club and take phone video. Phones
Okay.
are very high quality these days. You can use that. Um, my it, Nobody knows how many people are there. The event that my professional speaking reel was for, somebody else was doing it. I was doing a piece of it. Didn't have it had like 25 people in it. And I was like, well, this isn't going to work because there's like 25 people only, because I was like, oh, I've got this guy coming. He's like, don't you worry about it. We're going to put everybody up front, and we're going to do shots from the back that make it look like there's a whole bunch of people in the audience. And so, and it's also not bad to show you also do small events, right? So, couple of things. I would have somebody there in September filming and taking pictures. And we're going to talk about pictures in a minute. And anything like that that you can do at the with your friends and family event. 100%. 100%. You might even have like a local coffee shop that has a back room that you can use for cheap or like no money. Um, I mean, you can even ask a local hotel, if no one's using your conference, can we just use that room for an hour? I need some pictures of me on the stage. Take pictures of you on the stage that fly in. Like, get really creative about that. Here's another thing, and I never used to do this. And now I'm like, why? Why? Like, I never thought about asking for the footage and never any of that. When you are speaking, get some staged pictures. Speaker pictures are freaking terrible. I get all these pictures from these professional photographers, and I'm going, or my arms are at a weird angle, or I'm, yeah, exactly, my eyes are funny, I'm in the middle of talking. So now when I see a photographer in the room, I'm like, hey, can we take a couple of staged pictures, you
Mm.
know like either before or after? And they're like, absolutely. And so you can smile and stand by your PowerPoint. I've even done the like where I'm smiling and looking out at the audience, and I'm pointing at something and they're taking a picture, because I'm going to tell you, those candid snaps of speakers are terrible. I have a group of entrepreneurs. I do we call it the sleepover every year, and we all get together in a great big, mansiony place somewhere near the water. And in that thread, every once in a while, someone will go, latest amazing speaker pictures. And they start dropping stuff in there, and they're hilarious because they're really, really bad. So just make sure whenever you see a professional photographer in the room that you remember, I got to stage a couple pictures so that I can actually use these things later. But yeah, do that. That's a
Okay.
great way to create a speaker reel. They just want to see you presenting. I had a woman go through my Get Paid from the Stage. Her name's Wendy Gilhula. She's a potter, and she really wanted a speaker reel, and she's never had a speaker reel. And so she had a booth with her pottery, and she does this talk called, what is it, like turning mistakes into masterpieces. And one of her most selling pieces of pottery was a bowl that she messed up. Like she was spinning it on the wheel and it got a big old dip in it. And at the same time, she dropped um, one of her tools. So she bent over to pick it up. And when she was looking sideways, she thought, well, that looks like a chicken. And so she sat back up and went, oh, I'm going to make that into like this chicken thing. And that like you can pour from the spout. It became one of her best selling pieces because she got a different perspective when she stopped looking at it as a mistake. So she does this whole talk on um, turning your mistakes into masterpieces, and how if you just take a different perspective, you can turn something that felt like a mistake into something beautiful. And she actually, because we talked about sponsorship, which we will talk about, she actually got a sponsor send her a wheel that she can now take as a traveling pottery wheel. So, but Wendy was at this event. She goes, I'm going to reach out. I need a speaker reel and ask them if I can do a free presentation. I'm already going to be there, and maybe they'll give me a booth. So they did. They said, okay, cool. We have this lunchtime thing, and you have this booth. We're going to give it to you for free since you're doing this presentation. And she brought her husband, who brought his iPhone to record her, and three people showed up. But you know what? She got footage, and some news station walked by and said, oh, that's so cool. Can we interview you? She goes, sure. So they come up and interview her. She's got a speaker reel with her on the news with a clip, and her husband got really close to the stage. So you don't know there's three people in the audience.
Mm.
And it's amazing. And it cost her, not only did it not cost her anything, she didn't have to pay for her booth. So, what I'm saying is get really creative. Is there an event coming up you could offer to speak for free? Is there a venue that would let you use their space for free? Or maybe it's just, you and your family at a local coffee shop. Okay, she's got an idea. I see Dory's.
I did. I,
The light bulb just went off right above your head. I don't know if you know
yeah,
that.
I have a friend in my hometown who owns a bunch of buildings in LaGrange, and I was just on the phone with him this morning and at event centers and stuff. And I even went and toured with him the other day and was like, "Oh, you can do an open mic night here." And then I thought, "Oh, that'd be cool to be on that stage, so I can just talk to him about it."
Get on
And
that
then have
stage,
people from
girl.
my hometown come and be part of it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful thing. And business opportunity, ding, ding, ding. You could even talk to them about creating a space for other speakers to come in and create speaker reels and split
Oh,
some profits with
yes.
him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
100%.
great idea.
People like you and me are always looking for opportunities
Mhm.
for the next the next reel, right?
Yeah.
There are all
Yeah.
kinds of opportunity there, girlfriend. So yes, you can do that. Here's another thing you can do. There are some events, um, and they have them all over the country. There's two events where they create a speaker reel for you. And they're kind of these interesting events where you get like it's like I'm trying to remember because I did one. It's called Disrupt HR. So there's Ignite events and there's Disrupt HR events. They're really hard to prepare for as a speaker, but you get like 20 slot, you get like something like 5 minutes, 20 slides, 20 seconds each. They auto forward and you're up front and you're speaking on your topic, but they will record it and create a speaker reel that they then post on their site because they're short. And so you can look for Ignite events, Disrupt HR events, other events that are kind of formatted that way, where it's really quick and it's a little bit longer reel, but it's a great representation for event organizers. I spoke at one of my speaker reels is for the ACMP. It's a change management conference, and they did very high quality video. And I chopped that up and created a speaker reel because I just at that time didn't have the money to pay someone to come in and do the chop up. But um, there are so many ways to create it if you get just kind of have some fun with it.
Mhm. I'm also thinking, Dory, about your Power Core group. Like when you have your
Yes.
7 minute, right? Have somebody, because you're up there anyway doing it.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
That's a
and
great
that
idea.
sounds like kind of like Toastmasters, right? If you're if and Sabrina uses some of her Toastmasters footage in her event. So anywhere where you're part of these groups that requiring those speaking opportunities, yeah, record those. And they don't have to be, I mean, here's the thing, we get all caught up in how perfect it doesn't have to be perfect. They just
Mhm.
want to see you. They just want to see you deliver.
Mhm. Can you put two words together?
Yeah.
Can you
And
do a
and
sentence?
exactly. And what's your stage presence look like? How do you come across? That's what they're looking for. And
Okay.
just the fact that you've got one, you've got a speaker reel says, okay, this person's the real deal. She's got one. Now, I will say when you start submitting calls for speakers, it's amazingly low how many of them will ask for a speaker reel. It's probably like 10%. But some of them require a speaker reel. You can't even submit without it. Many of them will have a space where it'll say, "What else would you like us to know?" And you can say, "You can see my speaker reels at this link," or that's where I kind of throw that in. Your one sheet. Once you have a speaker reel, you can link to it in your one sheet. You can use it on LinkedIn to say, "Hey, really excited about my new speaker reel. Um, you know, would would love to learn how I can support your events or whatever." You can pin it to the top of your profile. You can submit to be a TEDx speaker. Now, that gives you a little bit of clout out in the world. It's way easier to become a TEDx speaker than it was 20 years ago. And it still has some clout associated with it, right? And so there's just so many different ways that you can get it. And there's very, very cost effective ways. It does not have to be expensive. So for this week, the homework is create a plan. And Dory, I'm like laughing because you're like, I already got one. I got three plans in my head already. But just create a plan for it and then plot it out, begin to execute it because you will need one eventually and it will help you book gigs. You don't have to have it. It is an important piece of your portfolio. Any other thoughts, Lisa? Something?
Yeah, Carla, I want to point out that there's a whole budget from you can do DIY to you could hire to have it professionally done. But I want to look at what it cost you by not having one. Like it cost you 20 to $25,000 for you to not have one. Like you lost that opportunity because you didn't have one. And I know we're not
Absolutely.
pricing here, but it is not an expense. It is an investment that you will get back when you start landing those speaking engagements. So that's the other thing. Like I look at some things and think, I'm not going to spend that money. But then I think, but that's the domino that's going to get me to where I want to be. Like
A
that's going to,
100%.
yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that story because I think it's a pretty powerful one.
Yeah, I lost way more than that. Like I lost that gig. I had other gigs where they would say, "Oh, do you have a speaking reel?" No, I don't yet. I'm working on that. And then that's a big, yeah, we're not going to hire you. I mean, now some will. And I get hired and people don't ask me for a speaking reel, but I don't know if they're not out looking at it. It's on LinkedIn. My TEDx talk is at the top. They've got my one sheet. Maybe they are looking at them. But yeah, it is definitely, I definitely lost money because I did not have one. 100%. And if you really don't have the money to invest, then do the DIY, have a speaking reel, and then start creating a budget to invest so that you can do that. But yeah, 100% correct on that. I lost a ton of money from not having one. So that is the speaking reel. We can always, kind of come back to more on that. And you do have the guide. The other thing that I'm going to show you, and we're going to talk about bios next. So one of your homework opportunities is to create your bios. There are lots and lots of different types of bios. And here's the crazy part. I have seen the most variance in what event organizers want for bios than anything else I produce. This is a sampling of what I've been asked for. This is the weirdest one, the first person bio. I don't love that one. It feels awkward to write it, and I have been asked for it. The most common one I get asked for is this one, the 50-word bio. And so I'm going to say, start with that one. And I don't have a template for you because these are so personal, but what I do have for you is examples. So like this is my 50-word bios. I have multiple 50-word bios and I just depending on what it is that I'm talking about, I will submit it. I did not know this, and y'all may go, yeah, everybody knows this, but I'm just going to show you. If you highlight the content and you come down here, it'll tell you how many words it is. So this one is 50 out of 147 words. I can't tell you how many times I've counted the words, which is silliness. So this will tell you, I feel compelled to tell you this is where you find it. And so this one is 50 words. This one, yeah, this is 47 words. They're freaking short, right? And so you got to be really tight and really succinct when you're writing out your 50-word bio. And the trick is to have it be about you and what you do. And so, uh, Carla helps people move from where they are today to where they want to be tomorrow. Carla's business was built on her motto, we rise together. So think about what do you really want to get across? You don't have time here to get into a whole lot of detail. You will get asked for this when you submit your calls for speakers. And a lot of times it is that 50-word bio. Then we've got this longer one, right? So this is, oh, I'm sorry, this one's your speaker intro. This is the other thing that you're going to create. I want you to write out how your person introducing you on the stage is going to introduce you. I'm going to tell you a hilarious story in a minute. It should be short. It should not be terribly long. It should get people excited about you. The other thing, and this one is, I will tell you, is not a great one. It is a good enough one. I will rewrite for every talk I do my speaker bio or my speaker intro because here's what I want. I want the event organizer to set me up. I want them to talk specifically about what people are going to learn. I want my event organizer to brag about me. I want my event organizer to say things about me I am never going to say about myself. So, but things that I know are true. Like if I were meeting you for the first time, Dory, I wouldn't say to you, I am a results oriented leader. I am, you know, I am the most amazing person you've ever met because here's all the cool things I've done. Like, we're not going to do that, but we're going to write this for someone else to share about us. No one in the audience knows you wrote it. They think the person introducing you wrote it. And so it's to get excitement, it's to build your credibility before you step on the stage. And you don't want it to be too long. They should be able to read it in 45 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds. The other thing is I send this in advance. I blow this up with really large font and I print it out. And then I hand it to the person just in case you didn't, you don't have a copy. Here's a copy. And you don't want it to be small font because you don't want them to look like they're reading it. You want them to be very comfortable as they share your introduction from the stage. So, like, I would never say about myself, I'm a welcome breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? But somebody else saying that sounds really cool. Like, oh, thank God. That's what I'm looking for. So the other bit of homework for you is write your speaker intro. Event organizers love it when you do this because otherwise, here's what they're going to do. They're going to read your bio, right? Or they're going to do their best if they don't know you. The and so I've got apparently I have a long one and a short one. Yeah. Do I have a short one? I hope so because I said I do. Let's look at that one. What does that say? I'm curious now. What is my short speaker intro? What I'm wondering is, I got to move your pictures out of the way. Hang on. I'm wondering if I put the bio in there. Let's see. I'm going to do that again. Hang on. Oh yeah, this is a short one. So I've got asked for a short one for an event, and so I popped it in here. So those are the two examples. And your speaker intro can be a little bit longer than that. You just don't want to write a chapter for your person to read. Speaker bio with links. And so I also have a little bit longer bio, and then I add all my links to the bottom that I want to direct them to. And so sometimes when event organizers will ask for a bio, they're really looking for a bit more. And I always pop my links in the bottom when that happens. And this one is just weird. I got asked for a first person bio, and that's an old picture. I wouldn't use that again, but it feels awkward. I would not create this up front. I will tell you, I have been asked for it, and I have been asked for it more than once, but I could count on my hand the number of times I've been asked for it. It is rare, and it will probably happen. And so with all of your content that you create a library of bios you've been asked for with some kind of descriptive name. I have different bios for talks that I do on change leadership than I use if I'm being asked to speak on a topic for, elevating women. Now, there are some similarities, but the bios are very, very different. Please, please, please keep track of and save off every bio you are asked to create because you're going to get asked for it again. Same thing with your calls for speakers. Sometimes they want a 50-word bio, sometimes they want a 75-word bio, and you have a little bit of extra space. Sometimes they want a first person bio, but just make sure you keep them, because here's a mistake I made early on. Like the calls for speakers, or the event organizer would ask for something, I'd take a Word document, do a copy as, create it, send it off, get rid of it, and then 3 months later I'm asked for the exact same thing, and I'm like, darn it, I didn't save that. So make sure you're creating that portfolio so you can reuse that content. What I'm going to recommend that you do for this week is create your 50-word bio. That's the one I get asked for the most. And your speaker intro for the talk that you created the proposal for, very specifically for that talk. Your bio will be about you, and keep your audience in mind. They probably don't need all of the accolades, just like, kind of, what are you known for and what do you do? So I'm going to kind of pause there. Questions or thoughts about the bio?
Well,
Okay.
that sounds pretty straightforward. Yeah. It's
And then if you finish that, I would work on the longer bio with links. That's the one I like to send most, because it has more information. I'm able to get more across on what I do. I can put my links in there. They're going to take you to my website, that are going to take you to my speaker reel. If I've got products and offerings, I can, say, here's, some of the additional work that I can do, or other ways I can support you and your team. So I do like to have that. And I am asked for that less often than that 50-word bio.
okay.
So you've got for this week in your templates and guides, you've got the guide on how to create your speaker reel, with the homework being to create that plan. You've got your examples. And so recommend starting with the 50, moving to that long form bio, and then creating your speaker intro. How are they going to introduce you from the stage? Feels really awkward, but read it out loud. Read it out loud and see how it feels. I was sitting in the audience. It was a big conference. I was in the front row because I'm going to speak, right? And the now I stand off to the side, by the way. That's another thing. When you're getting introduced on stage, make sure you're standing off side so you can just kind of come up and walk on if you're not behind the curtain. But they started the introduction, and I thought, crap, I thought I was up. Maybe I'm second. Maybe I'm second. And so they're going on and on about and then, help me welcome Carla Howard. It was me. I did not recognize the introduction. I was like, what the hell? And then it threw me off completely, because I'm like, I I hope this talk is what they want. It's what they said they wanted, but I literally did not recognize me, and thought maybe I had been moved in the agenda, until she said, help me welcome Carla Howard. She's going to speak on quieting your inner critic. I was like, and then my brain immediately went to, by God, I'm going to fix that and write my own damn intro from now on, because that was weird. And I felt off kilter for the first minute or so of my talk, until I kind of got in the flow, because my brain was trying to process, how did this happen? So don't let them decide how they're going to introduce you. You want to be in control of that. Super, super awkward way to start. And just remember, your bonus in the content this week is that model release. So if you get all of that content done as you're thinking about creating your speaker reel, if you're going to have testimonials, consider getting a model release ready. It doesn't, and you can run it through a lawyer. I feel obligated to say that. And I don't worry about it. I would just, take that model release, alter the language. I think it's good enough. But again, I'm not a lawyer, but definitely if you're like, hey, I want to have testimonials, which can be really powerful, make sure you protect yourself by getting that something signed that says, yeah, you can, I'm happy for you to use me in your content. That is the content that we have for today, along with your homework. I'm going to recap the homework and then we'll just see if there's any questions that you all have. So create a plan for your speaker reel, do that research, checking out those different reels. What do you want to have in place? And if you're going to have testimonials, rework that bonus in the bonus section to have a document they can sign saying, yes, you have permission to use my testimonial, my likeness in the video. Create at least one bio. My recommendation is the 50 word, and then if you can move on to that long form bio. Create your speaker intro specifically for the talk that you created. And then if you are like, okay, I got that content done, begin going back, refining any previous content you've created, and think about, is there anything else you want to create? I love, Dory, that you created both the guide and the assessment. People love assessments. They love kind of going through that checklist. They love having that guidance at the end on, okay, now what do I do with this? And so just kind of begin thinking about those bits for next week when we get together, this is the part everybody's like, yes, we're going to talk about money. So we're going to talk about establishing your price. I have this really fun exercise called the salt and pepper exercise that you all are going to do. You For the homework, you'll be creating your value options document and your additional resources document. We're going to talk all about that next week. What questions do you have about, I love the money bags. What questions do you have about either what we've talked about today, content you created in the first 2 weeks, or your homework for this week?
I don't think I have anything right now, Carla. I just want to go and start thinking about this, then I'm sure I'll have other questions that come up.
Lisa, anything for you? Oh, you're on mute there, gal. You're good.
I just want to say that, I came into this looking to see how this program works and how it can coordinate with the bigger one that we're creating. But like you have really inspired me to start speaking, I think, before the book, right? Like I was going to tie this in with the book that I'm writing, which I have to write still. But then I thought, well, why do I have to wait for that? Like I've got other talks I can do. So I'm really excited about that. And Dory, I want to say we did create a short bio I'm going to send to you that you can work from. So we did in our program. I'll send you what we had and then you can tweak from that.
Oh, you're on mute there, Dory. Come on off, gal.
No, you're right. We did. Okay. Yep. That'll be great. Thanks, Lisa.
I love that. And that makes my heart happy, Lisa. I will tell you that I would totally recommend that you do that. And you can speak about the content that's going to be in the book, little bits of it. The other thing that's really cool is when you finish your book, there's so many options, right? Like we talked about some of them. You can have a table, you can ask them to put your book in their library for sale. Um, Event organizers often have different budgets for speakers and education. And so, okay, I get that that's your speaker budget. I've got a book. You know, do you have a budget where we can make sure every participant has a copy of the book? There's so much you can do that will raise the value and raise the money that you can earn from those events.
But very excited for next week.
Yeah. Oh, the pricing. This is fun. And I love it every week. So I always go, oh, I can't wait for next week. And I do love the fourth week because we begin talking about pricing and you'll come up with your pricing and you'll create your value options and you'll create the additional resource is where you share what other offerings they can buy for you. The value options are ways that you can pull more value from the event. And so those two packaged together are super powerful. And yeah, we'll just have some real talk around what can you expect? When do you raise your prices? What do your prices say about you to the event organizer? I guarantee you my $5,000 price to that event organizer said I had no idea how I was a new speaker. I was risky for them for two reasons. I came in too low and I didn't have a speaker's reel. So your price can say that you're risky, you
Yeah.
know? And it's interesting. I always give this analogy. If I have a leak in my roof, I if a handyman says I can do that for $750 and a roofer says that's a $5,000 fix, guess what? I'm going with the roofer. Because the roofer actually knows what the roofer's doing and he's going to describe what it is he's going to go do to fix my roof. Speakers are the same way. We come in too low, it says I'm not a professional speaker. I
Yeah.
probably have very few cycles on the stage, and I'm a risk. I'm a
Yeah.
risk. So anyway, we'll dig into pricing next week. That's a super fun one. And that's really what I had for y'all for today. Um, I'm happy to stay on, answer any questions. These sessions always go an hour. Sometimes they go an hour and a half, just kind of depending on who's in the room and what they need. So if you don't have any questions, we can wrap it up and give you a half hour back to your Saturday. If you do, I'm happy to stay on.
I'm going to the casino, so
Ah! You won't need a
I'm in
job when you
Tampa.
come back.
I'm in Tampa visiting a friend. We're going to the casino in a few minutes. So
Oh, so fun.
Go
So
have
fun.
thank you. Thank you. Well, I
All right,
appreciate you,
ladies.
Carla. Thank you.
Oh
Thank you.
gosh, I appreciate you all. I'm so happy you're here. And I'll see you next week and we'll talk all about money.
Sounds good. Love it.
All
Thanks,
right.
Lisa.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.